One more minute, boss man.
Thank you.
All right, 10 seconds.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Live exclusively for WCPT in Chicago, standing up and speaking out, here's Hal Sparks.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody, especially those listening to us in Chicago. Apparently the fire alarm went off at the station if you're listening via the website, and so that's why we're not on the regular air. I personally am just simply celebrating the fact that for once, not being on the air isn't my fault, technically. So it's kind of a joy. You know, it's just kind of a random. So I'm just going to enjoy that until everything gets back up and running at CBT. Meanwhile, we are, of course, streaming at twitch.tv/HalSparks, halsparks.live, halsparks.tv, Periscope, if you follow me on Twitter, at HalSparks. I've got this whole branding thing down. I'm just saying. And good morning to the chat and everybody. How are you? Yes, I am very. I have very blow dried hair today. I have my do for whatever reason, and this just happens when I wrap it in a towel now because it's at that length that if I take it out of the towel and just kind of shake it and dry it, it turns into. I look like an extra from Stranger Things, and that's not a bad thing necessarily these days. Retro being as in as it is. But today, I want to talk about a lot of aspects of our current circumstance, not the least of which is a story coming out via, I think, Salon and the Raw Story, several other places reporting this went out or whatever, that the White House is now losing staffers at an alarming rate for the president. That after the communications director, who I believe is Kayleigh McEnany's boss, leaving 2 days ago, and it turning out that Hal Vickery, thank you for the super chat just for the hair. That's very sweet. Thank you. It's almost a salon treatment. That's what I'll take care of. That's amazing because it needs it. That after she left, Kayleigh McEnany is rumored to be either hired by or in talks to be hired by CNN, prompting Jake Tapper to tweet enigmatically, "You knew I was a snake when you took me in," a quote from the famous snake poem that Trump liked to read with zero irony, not realizing he was the snake. And hi, Liz in Scotland, and everybody who's listening to us overseas, who, of course, technically are the ones that make us Mega Worldwide. You are listening to the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio. WCPT820.com is their website for all your favorite liberal talkers. And so I want to get into this a little bit. Multiple sources inside and outside the White House cited a variety of reasons for the exodus already underway, why people are leaving, ranging from the urgent need for employment, because, they're going to lose their job soon, and they know it. And, of course, Trump will tell you you can work for him privately, but he will never pay you. See Rudy Giuliani in about 6 weeks when, Ukrainians are picking up the tab for his nonsense, which we're going to get into today because there's been a lot of inconsistencies in Rudy Giuliani and Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell and Jenna Ellis and all that crowd in their cases they have presented. A lot of inconsistencies. But one of the things that has been consistent is the quality of witnesses. We'll get into that in a minute. But apparently, it said, reasons for the exodus already underway, ranging from the urgent need for employment to a palpable disgust with Trump's ill-fated election challenges. This is the thing. Thank you, Billy Hutchings, and much love to you, brother, and hello. One senior administration official described Trump's White House as a toxic workplace, to which most of us respond, boo frickety who. You work there for him. You chose the job. Why are you surprised? This is extraordinary. Anyway, so I think people are moving on because they have families or livelihoods to support. Nutty, I know. People are turning on each other, trying to settle scores while they can. The place is becoming more toxic by the day. Some are moving on, another White House advisor said. It's time. Except for Trump, of course, who the advisor said no one in the White House expects him to concede. No one. And nor do I. Thank you, Julius. Bless you. And thank you guys for joining us every day on the regular stream, and of course showing up on our Saturday show, the little show that we've been doing on WCPT for about a decade now. Oh my God, I can't believe it either. We've been doing it so long, my long hair is coming back into style. That's what's happening. So, nobody's surprised that Trump, who has hired the worst lawyers, I have to say, the worst legal team in history, short of maybe, well, Melissa Caron, who spoke at the thing, many people are calling Aaron Drunkovich, Operation Hot Mess, who spoke at the Michigan Assembly and was hammered, by all accounts, by anyone who was, I suppose, downwind of Rudy and upwind of her. I don't quite know what because Rudy broke wind twice in the Michigan legislature gathering, and this lovely woman, there's no way she didn't have wine breath, so the competition of smells in that room was brutal. And so, not surprising that this team has gone through some shakeups. Many of you know that L. Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell were told to beat feet. Sidney Powell was. She was part of the team. Then she wasn't part of the team. She was officially dropped from the team, according to sources, because Trump thought her ideas were too crazy for the recount effort. So she was told to go away and replaced with a couple of people that he thought were too poorly dressed to hire the last time, Joe DeGeneva and his sidecar. They don't tend to mention her much. I don't know why. I don't know if they're a married pair, legal pair. Also, yeah, it's hard to break down who's doing the heavy lifting, if at all, in that pairing. But they replaced Sidney Powell in the team officially after Trump had normal, well-to-do, expensive law firms preparing for his legal challenges, many of whom were willing to go through with the challenges he was wanting to put forward, but they also weren't cool with him just making stuff up and them having to litigate it. That was apparently the last straw. It wasn't so much that they wouldn't take whatever evidence they had or whatever depositions they could get from people, and whatever affidavits, because there's lots of affidavits going around. And we'll see also in part of this that the power of an affidavit and its validity in a courtroom setting is only in the power of the observational and intellectual capabilities of the person filling it out and writing it down. And I'll describe to you why that is in particular based on a discovery we made last night on the stream, which was in many ways miraculous on its own. And if you want to go back and watch that, you can at the YouTube page or at Twitch or any of those other sources. Now, over the course of these gatherings, let's start with Trump fires all of his people. Then Rudy is on the speakerphone when he's firing all the legit lawyers or telling them you can only do one more thing and then you're out, or I'm not paying if you guys don't win. And they're all going, yeah, that's not how law works. You don't only pay if you win. Which Trump genuinely thinks. All this wailing and gnashing of teeth about, well, they were concerned about their reputation, but there is no way that Trump didn't yell at them, he's not paying if they don't win. And they went, yeah, we don't work for you anymore. Bye. And he basically, after they left the room or hung up on him or, ended the Zoom call Tubin style, he told Rudy, you're in charge of the whole thing now. Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, elected because he apparently tore down the Italian mob so that the Russian mob could take over. Yeah, great work. He is now the tip of the spear, edge of the knife in the legal fight that Trump is putting forward. Now, I'm going to take a break. When I come back, we're going to deal with kind of the overall picture of the witnesses because there's a stunning alignment in the people that he brings to court. Yeah, we'll talk about him breaking wind in court later. But yes, and currently, for those asking in the chat room, I do have the hair of one of the moms on Stranger Things right now. I think the woman, it was blonde, but I think the one, who had a crush on the lifeguard. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We'll be back. Yeah. So, hi, chat room. How are you? Good to see you. Sorry, what was that, Chicago?
No, it might be. I'll talk back to you, man. You got about 2 minutes, boss man, as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I just had to yell at him really quick. It's all good.
I understand. There should be a lot of, especially when you set the place on fire when you came in and you try to pretend it was somebody else's, Devin. I mean, I think pretty much.
Oh, now you're blaming me for the fire?
Well, I'm in the chain of evidence that we're kind of using with my storyline today about what's going on in Giuliani world. I am the best witness to what is going on at CPT right now, being that I'm in a first floor office in my home in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm basically
Yeah, I mean, you're in a
there.
completely different state. How much wine you have this morning, Hal, and why weren't you sharing again?
You're right. Why? It's a purple lip testimony. Okay. Mm-hmm.
We're coming back in 30, Hal.
Thank you. So over the course of watching far too much of the Giuliani, I would say legal challenges, but technically speaking, they basically amount to Giuliani and members of his team, basically him and Jenna Ellis mainly, whining at small gatherings of state legislatures or county boards or Republican-only gatherings of state legislators or Commonwealth legislators, in the case of Pennsylvania, all gathering together. And these folks, I guess, excluding the Democrats from that because they don't want crosstalk. And in these, Rudy and Jenna Ellis and a couple of their quote-unquote witnesses and his binder full of affidavits, depositions, whatever he's calling them any particular day. Their goal seems to be to go down to these things and just whine at them until they decide to, and this is the plan, this is the entirety of the remedy left to Giuliani and his team. The only remedy they have left, there is none of these cases, and we'll get to the one that was just thrown out this morning, breaking news, yet another, that over the course of, arguing and going into court, getting thrown out, having cases dismissed, all this stuff, they boiled down to they need the state legislature in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. They want Nevada and Arizona as well. Though basically they can't guarantee any of them, so they're going to go for all of them. They want those state legislatures who have, since the 1800s, organized their elections with a board of elections, and have most of them supervised as far as the choosing of the electors under the Secretary of State, because it is a perfunctory and mechanical aspect of the voting process. You are not seeking to have someone be an elector because they are a partisan who will go against what the vote was certified as because they're just sure their guy won. And these legislatures, which often are partisan, handed off those things many years ago to nonpartisans to choose electors who it's almost like becoming a Kentucky colonel, for example. I, many of you may know, am a colonel by all measure in the state of Kentucky. I'm originally from Kentucky. I grew up, I learned to become a human in many ways there, and I learned to show that I'm a human while living in Chicago. It's an important distinction, but anyways. So in Kentucky, as an order of the governor, you can become what's called a Kentucky colonel. You're a colonel in the official Kentucky militia. And it's, at this point, it's a title. But I suppose if we fell into some sort of Go Wolverines war games / if the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians and the North Koreans all decided to team up on America at once and Canada was no help at all, then the militias all over the country would be called up and I would technically be a colonel. Now, it would be unfortunately, in the Kentucky militia, there would be far more colonels than anything else. It would be overrun with colonels. Lots of cooks, no one chopping vegetables. And so there you go. And many people in the chat are asking, do I get fried chicken with that title? No, I do not. But, side note, Colonel Sanders baked me a cake on my 10th birthday. True story. Yay me. All right, so, and he advised me not to drink alcohol or smoke or chew tobacco. Specifically, he said, don't chew no backer and don't drink no booze. And I never have, so... not only was Colonel Sanders a fantastic chef, he was also a magnificent hypnotist. But the point I'm trying to make is that the designation of being a colonel is kind of it's lovely. It's an honorary kind of title, and it shows respect and that you love your state and all that kind of stuff. It's great. Well, the same thing is true of electors for the most part. And in the case of the electors across the country, largely they are like, I got to be an elector in this election. It's you get to do this trip up to Washington and you get to present the votes, and it's very lovely and it's kind of a cool thing. Thank you, James. And over the course of the decades, over 100 and some odd years, it's become the normal functional way. Thank you, Colleen, for becoming a patron. That's awesome. Wow, we got a new patron today. They've stepped up lately. It's a beautiful thing. So we're trying to reach 500. Help us out. Patreon.com/HalSparks. That's how you support the show and keep us on the air. It's lovely. So being an elector is not really what it used to be when the votes were put in a bag. You were chosen as the person that was trustworthy and I guess able to fight off marauders. in your county. And so you would carry the bag of votes up to Washington, D.C. over a couple of days and present them and prove it. You'd go, I state, therefore, that there are 12,000 votes in here from the county of Huckamanuck. And I've got a written piece of paper from the governor that says that, and I'll be taking these votes, and I stand here and state that in all seriousness in front of my captain. I don't know what the languaging was, but that's basically the run was. It was a serious job. Now it's not. Now it's nice, and you get a little trip out of it. But if indeed you do, sometimes they don't get to go. They used to get to all go to Washington, but yeah, not especially during COVID. But regardless, there is nothing about these electors where they're expected to change what happened in the actual vote. These people are not activists and the last-ditch effort of a failing campaign to secure the presidency by a president who never got an approval rating in the country above 50%, who is the only one-term impeached president, who gained on his votes last time, but lost by the largest margin since the 30s, and his opponent, Joe Biden, got more votes than any candidate in history. Trump's like, I got more votes than any incumbent. Yeah, and you lost. Biden's lead, by the way, increased to 7 million this week. As they added the full count from California. And I would like to say, as best I can, sitting here on my little ergonomic stool in my home studio, I'm just imagine in your head I'm taking an enormous victory lap after calling it that the margin would be over 7 million and that it would be a 306 victory. Many of you who were with me on election night and who were concerned and worried that this wouldn't work out, and I was saying this over and over again, that there was indeed a blue tsunami from all quarters. It's what got Biden in office. We'll talk in future days about why it didn't translate to the House, other than the fact that these were purple or largely red-ish districts, and that's another conversation. But there is no questioning that Joe Biden has 81 million votes. That if Rudy Giuliani threw out and managed to find a way to get these states to throw out every single vote they want challenged, which is, by the way, every vote in an entire district, because they don't trust some of the processes, even though they have failed in court to show that their distrust of those processes by no means reflect on the actual quality of those processes themselves. So if all of them got thrown out, all the Arizona votes they want thrown out, all the Nevada votes, all the Wisconsin votes they want thrown out, all, and all the front of these. Thank you, Patty. Oh my gosh. If they threw them all out, Biden would still be beating him in the popular vote by the biggest margin, I think, since the 30s. Still beating him by a larger margin. Maybe not Reagan. Yeah. But again, this is a trouncing. Donald Trump didn't just lose. He got, thank you, Larry. That's awesome. Thank you for the new patronage, guys. That's really sweet. It's one of the best ways to help the show. So Trump didn't just lose, he got beat, as he likes to say, like a dog. Which, by the way, don't beat dogs, take care of them. My girlfriend and I found a stray dog this week and got it back to its owners. It's that simple. It required no beatings at all. As a matter of fact, it was a very huggy little dog. And we currently have a foster cat in our bathroom because it was that kind of a day. So, let me just, before I have to go to break here, they have been tooling around the country, Giuliani and his crowd. And by the way, Johnny Million's not with us this week because he's driving a U-Haul truck. Apparently, we trade this activity off over the course of several weeks. But over the course of them, traipsing all over the country, trying to present their case, why the electors should be faithless electors, they should be selected, this is the kind of the amazing part. Okay, so there were faithless electors were made legal by a ruling in the Supreme Court in Washington State when, during a race where it didn't really matter, one of the electors said, "I'm giving mine because it won't change the way the state's going and it won't change the overall total. I'm doing this one person." PJ, thank you so much. Holy smokes. I'm going to vote for a Native American woman, I believe it was, and her vice presidential running mate. I'm going to give one elector. This is the first time in history that Native American presidential candidates will be awarded an electoral college vote. And I want to give it to them. And they said, you can't do that. It has to go with the state. And they said, you can. And they're back and forth. What the Supreme Court found, and what Rudy Giuliani is hoping goes his way, which is ridiculous, is the idea that that can apply to a coordinated effort to throw the electoral college. And I have news for them. It doesn't. The person in that position, the reason they had a free speech right was they made their case that it would not adversely affect the reality of the election for the Washington State people, and it was an aspect of free speech. Allison, thank you so much. Yeah, we're having a lot of people are doing the annual pledge on it, where you can pledge for a whole year and in one fell swoop. It's lovely. So thank you so much for that, Allison. We got to take a break, but what Rudy Giuliani is trying to do, which is different than the legal case around faithless electors that was done in Washington State, was that one person acting on their own as a point of conscience, as opposed to a coordinated effort by a political party to get members of their political party in a state legislature to seize power they had granted elsewhere, as duly given to them the power to do in the Constitution. They wanted to force them or cajole them into pulling this power back. Take your power back. Rudy has said it many times. And choose the electors, have the Republican state legislatures, or, in fact, the Republican state legislators, in the case that they don't have a majority or enough to do this, just abjectly go, I get to choose my own. So my Republican, because there's an elector for every state senator. So each of these Republicans, they want them to individually pick a cohort that will vote Trump's way. That's what that's about. That's why they don't need the whole panel to vote on it, or that's why they think they don't anyways. Those people would absolutely be in violation of the laws passed by those states and repeatedly shored up over the years. We got to take a break. But that's the only shot they have left. We got to take a break, but there's an elector for every state senator. They're trying to get the Republican state senators to choose an elector that will go against the vote of the people, throw their vote to Donald Trump, and if there's enough of them, which there aren't, 30 some odd, as it were, then that will give the presidency to Trump. Yeah, that's the plan. You know why? Because all the other plans have failed. And when we come back, I'll tell you why. Mm-hmm. 432 patrons. Look at that. We're getting there. You want my hair in pigtails? Calm yourself. Calm yourself.
I just want to let you know the computer's tweaking out and whatnot, so I'm gonna definitely try and get them smooth for you, boss man. But
thank you.
Wow,
that's
stuff
right.
Today, I guess.
Yeah, I guess at least we found the source of the fire. Did anybody leave the? Oh, John Robinson, thank you for becoming a patron. Thank you so much. Did anybody leave like the video streaming servers on a long time? Because those things heat up like a son of a bitch.
I mean, we always keep them on 24 hours, so that could be a possibility. Usually the computer itself just dies, though.
Right. It's usually, there's a difference between the kind of...
About 30 seconds, boss.
Thank you. The CCTV kind of camera stuff and the FaceTime-y or computer cameras, you can iron a shirt with my laptop after I do a show. You can do it 10 minutes in, actually. But I wonder if it's setting off the alarms. We'll see. And by the way, I want to thank the trolls for being with us today and giving us the gift of their eyeballs and their time, which they will never get back, and boosting our numbers. It's nice, you know? Welcome back to the Hal Sparks Radio. Oh, that was me. Look, I was doing my own tag in. Welcome back to the Hal Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where we're slowly rebuilding our computers on the fly. It's just a good time. So, what I was getting to before the break was that basically Rudy Giuliani's plan is to get every Republican legislator who thinks they're a Trumpster and who thinks they have a future in politics to go against the will of the people in their state, go against the popular vote in their state, basically destroy your political career for Donald Trump. Throw yourself on the fire, drink the Kool-Aid first to show everybody there's no poison, because the poison takes 10 minutes. That is the plan. Oh, Alexito, thank you so much for pledging on Patreon. Thank you. This is the biggest growth in Patreon we've seen in months. That's so lovely. I thought everybody had given up on me there. It's really nice. Thank you, guys. So the question, you know, I guess for Giuliani's team that he gets the most from Trump is, are we winning? Are we winning? Are we winning? Are we winning? And he keeps telling Trump that he is. And Trump believes him. And tonight, Trump will be in Georgia, allegedly trying to help Perdue and Loeffler maintain their seats and give Republicans control of the Senate. But in the meantime, I'm going to go with, while he'll yell at it, yell about it a few times, he's essentially just going to go down there and gripe at Kemp and Raffensperger for being genuine shepherds of the vote in their own state. And I mean, most of us are stunned that Kemp is becoming some sort of hero in terms of electoral politics, since he was the Secretary of State, and many people believe he contributed through shenanigans to throwing the vote his way when he was running for governor, and maintained his seat as Secretary of State and had control over the vote before he became governor, stealing it from Stacey Abrams. That was the prevailing thought about that, and there's no reason to think otherwise, really. But it's extraordinarily odd that, and maybe it's because, I suppose maybe I'm stumbling on something here, because perhaps he doesn't want the feds coming down and rooting through their election systems and going through audits and finding out that there were shenanigans last time, but not this time. And people might want to take oh, thank you, Sarah. Oh my God, appreciate that so much. So in the course of, Trump going down there and screaming at his crowd again and having another, post rally and raising more money after the election than he did before the election, and in many ways for a more futile effort. But by the way, if he keeps this up, if the maggots and Trumpsters that are out there are delusional enough to give him their money at this clip for just a couple more months, that $400 million tab that he has, those outstanding debts beyond the within the 1.1 billion, the 600 million that's secured by the business, but the 400 million that he's personally on the hook for, right? That money is flowing in from the MAGA crowd right now, and that's where it's going. Because if you give your money to Trump, and if you're a Trumpster or a maggot and you really believe that the sun shines out of his backside and he's the king of all media and all that, I recommend to you, I'm gonna go with type and against type right now. I'm going to recommend to you that you give as much money as you can immediately to Donald John Trump. And that's largely because you have to give him $8,000 before 40 cents of the next dollar goes to legal fees. That 40, Rudy is out there drumming this stuff up because he has to get past that 8,000 mark with people before the money trips over into going to the legal fight, and then only 40 cents. Thank you so much, Nikki. So that's me going with type. That's me encouraging Trumpsters and maggots to do something that is not in their best interest, because I have very little sympathy for those kind of suckers who are just that awful. On the other hand, L. Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell, and Sidney Powell is, of course, a former lawyer of the president's who's gone rogue, were in Georgia, and Lynn Wood was out there in a MAGA hat and an overcoat. He was wearing a Mike Flynn hat first, then he put on, because you're going to win like Flynn, and then he put on a MAGA hat and said, that's because we're going to make America great again. And he was trying to convince the Republicans who'd gathered for that, reasonable but paltry gathering compared to the other Trump gatherings, that, and by the way, they bust in 1,000 people for? Not so much a march when you bust them in, but okay, I understand. So this dude, if many of you haven't seen the video, it's out floating on social media, but he encouraged people not to vote for Kelly Loeffler and for Perdue because they aren't standing right next to him on the stage calling for the state legislature, for the governor to call the state legislature together to throw the Electoral College to Trump because they won, they think, in their head. So in this, I'm not going to follow Lynn Wood's example or Sidney Powell's example or anybody else there. And I'm going to say to Republicans in the state of Georgia, regardless of how you feel about me, vote. And I'm going to say to Democrats in the state of Georgia, regardless of whether you're tired of having to do it again or whether you have any faith in Ossoff or Warnock or whether they're your favorite people or not your favorite people, vote. Be an adult. Make the choice of the better case. It's not the lesser of two evils. It's the better person. And again, I don't know where this lesser of two evils thing floats around when you've got the Trump Justice Department basically running its own scam for him, and kids being dropped off on the other side of the border, and Stephen Miller choosing immigration policy and that kind of. When you're choosing between a serial killer and a pickpocket, the lesser of two evils argument is a big drop-off. And especially if you have to pick a babysitter out of either one of them. So to all the non-voters or wavering voters in either party or no party, I insist that you vote. And if you don't, you are effectively, in my estimation, urinating on the grave of a veteran. Because people gave their lives in wars so that you could do something as easy as go down and fill out a Scantron and choose your leaders. Okay, I digress. Now, before I get into these next couple of this next chunk of stuff, Giuliani has been traipsing around, and we found out, by the way, the charge against Carone. For those that have been watching all week, we found out the details. And it's good. It's so good. So over the course of the big moments that I think a lot of people are aware of are the Radisson Ramada gathering that Rudy Giuliani put together with a couple of witnesses and wagging affidavits. That was one. The second one was, of course, being in a parking lot between a porn shop and a crematorium at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, which is now a t-shirt company because they make more money selling t-shirts for Four Seasons Total Landscaping than they do landscaping, which is amazing. And they'll get more work, but because I'm sure they're lovely people who are very functional, who are very surprised by this weirdo showing up in their parking lot to give some sort of odd pro-Trump blather. And find out, by the way, that they called the election live, watching Rudy Giuliani call the election for the press had called it for Biden. And then the third one being, of course, Erin Drunkovich, as she's called, this woman, Melissa Carone. Carone, I don't know how she pronounces her last name, honest to God. I've only seen it written. It could be Carone, Caron. It's hard to tell. But she was, of course, magic this week. And in all of those instances, it's not that they just didn't have good witnesses. It's not that just these people were a little over the top or that they're QAnons and they just kind of rambled a little bit or they got off topic or he farted on them, which he did. It's not so much about that. It's the fact that each one of them is either guilty of computer fraud specifically, had a job committing where committing computer fraud was their job, or they were found guilty of or pled down from a crime of moral turpitude. And that in and of itself is what we will come back to on the other side of this, because I didn't think they could get worse than their star witness at the Total Landscaping gathering. And that's pretty, arguably that's the worst person. But everybody else seems to be inside this weird ballpark as if they just can't find anybody to show up that isn't bananas or a danger to the public. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. I think these computers...
What's up?
Yeah, sorry. Hello?
So I got you on playing the intro with the music and whatnot as well, boss man. Maybe.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sometimes if the computer's screwed up, that's the part that it won't do. So if the music goes on a little further, I'll go like, oh, okay, that one isn't working. So I'll go, am I on? There I am. That kind of thing. But I'll leave it up to you. That's great.
Feel you, boss. Also, good stuff calling them maggots and whatnot.
Yeah. It's capital A, or capital M-A-G-A.
Coming back.
Lowercase t, lowercase s. Yeah. That's how we do it. The maggots. M-A-G-A, little t, little s. Thanks,
I guess I didn't put you.
That's all right.
Sorry, are you back?
Nah, I'm back. I'm good. Thank you so much. It's and by the way, thanks to everybody on the Facebook page. Well, not everybody. The people who are giving stars and are contributing to the conversation. The trolls on Facebook. I mean, I gotta say, I have to thank them as well, because they're the reason we have like 1.4 million viewer minutes per show all week long. That's a big part of it. So thank you guys for joining us. And remember, while we're all gathered here because we want to be here, you guys are spending your time with us, and there's no refunds. It's wonderful. So over the course of it, Susan, thank you so much for becoming an annual patron. That's fantastic. Blessings to you guys. So over the course of this, the first one, and I'll put this up on the stream on my stream in case anybody wants to look at this later as I read from it. But this is from Politico, and in this this is from the original Total Landscaping, the Four Seasons Total Landscaping gathering. Man featured at Giuliani press conference is a convicted sex offender. The very first witness that Rudy Giuliani brought to the podium to share a mic with him was a guy named, I think, let's see, the first person Rudy Giuliani, Attorney General, called up as a witness to baseless allegations of vote counting shenanigans in Philadelphia during a press conference is a sex offender who for years has been a perennial candidate in New Jersey. This guy runs for office all the time as a Republican because, if you're a sex offender, that's your party, I guess. Is that how it works? That they just, all right. So it's such a shame. This is a democracy. Darrell Brooks, who said he was a GOP poll watcher, said at the conference, held at Four Seasons Total Landscaping in Northeast Philadelphia. They did not allow us to see anything. Was it corrupt or not? But give us an opportunity as poll watchers to view all the documents, all of the ballots. Trenton political insiders watched with bemusement as Brooks took the podium. Brooks was incarcerated, not just charged, led through the judicial system, found guilty of exposing himself to two girls, one aged 7, the other aged 11. So, now, there's obviously a question of intent. Was he intending to go further? Was he a flasher? Is this how he operates? Either way, it's disgusting, and he wouldn't be my last witness, much less my first. If you have mounds of evidence, and what by mounds they mean piles, and you believe that you have more evidence than you need, and you have so many witnesses. The volume of witnesses they have is it's incredible. The amount of people who will speak and who will come forward and who have written affidavits and all this. If you listen to Rudy Giuliani, it sounds like there's 1,000 people waiting outside the courtroom with their phones full of video and pictures and a signed affidavit that they took them. And that in and of it's like he's always saying that. So many people. We have too much evidence. They have none, but we'll get to that too. We have too much evidence, so many witnesses. Well, if you have that many, why do you have to call the guy who showed his genitals to children? Why would that ever cross your mind? Now, I know there is one opportunity here where perhaps Rudy Giuliani didn't know. Now, everybody there knew. Everybody who was filming it, all the news people from Philadelphia and the surrounding area and probably all over Pennsylvania who could make it to Four Seasons Total Landscaping in a half an hour because of the venue change. Those folks knew. And the comms team, the folks, and by the way, the head of Rudy's comms team has tested positive for COVID. That's another story. But in this gaggle, the only memorable part, besides the fact of where they were, was the fact that the first witness, first person out of the gate, and understand, this is the party of QAnon. This is the group that believes that Democrats and Hollywood elite and international families in the Pentaveret are running a child trafficking ring out of a pizza parlor. And they believe it so vehemently that a guy showed up with a gun and opened fire in front of Comet Ping Pong in Washington, D.C. These are the folks who believe that Democrats are the pedophiles. And we'll talk about the whole, how friendly he was with Epstein. Look to the comedy of Noel Casler on your own, and you will learn quite a bit about Trump's behavior around Epstein back in the day. But this was their first witness for their case. Not, we found somebody, and the guy we found is a convicted pedophile. That would make sense. If they went, we have pictures of this guy working at the polls. We have video of a man working at the polls, and this guy is a convicted pedophile. One of the poll watchers at the polls was a convicted pedophile. That, honestly, this is Rudy's case. And Rudy finished that statement with, he's on our side. What? Okay, so the next one was they had two cyber experts. I've shown them during my stream over the week. One in particular was in a unit in the Army that did cyber fraud. They basically attacked and broke down things. They did phishing. They did all these kind of like government sanctioned hacking and destruction and getting all the contents of someone's hard drive out through simply the electrical wiring in a house, which you can do, which is really nuts. I just made a bunch of people on Rudy's team really nervous. but and you can also put stuff there. That's another conversation as well. But the guy that they have, who's their cyber expert, is basically now just admitting to doing the job for them. He's in charge. He was a psyop cyber squad guy in his unit, and now he rents himself out to do psyops, engineer fake computer fraud. That's his job. And he's their main tech witness. And there was another tech witness who said that he saw people putting USB V cards into machines which don't exist. That's those are their two technical people. So thanks so much, Chuck, for the Venmo. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. So they had three tech people at the Michigan gathering. The USB V card guy, the PSYOP computer fraud, faker who does it now in private, and Aaron Drunkovich. So Melissa, who many of you have seen, I'm sure many of you have seen Melissa Caron, who was the witness in this. She spoke at length to the point where Rudy was tugging on her shirt to get her. Thank you, Angie. Tugging on her shirt to get her to shut up, which she didn't do. She kept talking. And she took questions, and she did the drunk, eyebrow raise. It was glorious. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Watch the whole thing. So she, it turns out, lied. We'll talk about how much she lied in her affidavit after the break, after we go through the news. But the most extraordinary thing I think most of us discovered about Melissa this week, besides the fact that white wine, I would have thought red, was that she had just gotten off probation. She'd been on probation for a year for computer fraud. And she was picked. She worked for a temp agency, and she went to work, she wanted to work or insisted on working for or asked to work for the Dominion voting company as an employee of the temp agency. And we got a couple minutes for a break. I'm hearing music, but I think I've got a minute. So she was guilty. She was, guilty of computer fraud. She pled guilty to computer fraud. And finished getting her ITT degree from ITT Technical Institute during her probation, I think. Technically during her probation. So their witness about this thing was and she pled down. This is the extraordinary thing. She pled down from a bigger charge to simply computer fraud. Because I guess computer fraud was good for her career, so that one looked good on the resume. The crime she was originally charged with was first-degree obscenity. First-degree obscenity. Now, I think we've all argued in the libertine left, as it were, about whether or not obscenity is even a crime, and there's a certain distinction between, the absolute knots in the world and then basically everything else, because who cares? That just because you find something obscene, it's none of my business. What in the world is first-degree obscenity? Well, apparently, it's attacking people with obscenity. For example, if the fellow that they'd had at the Total Landscaping gathering had emailed pictures of his junk to the school servers where these little girls went, that would be first-degree obscenity. It wouldn't be exposure because he's not presently there. He's doing it via a computer. So it's thank you so much. The key to this is she pled down from first-degree obscenity to computer fraud. What was she doing? She was sending pictures of herself performing sexual acts on her boyfriend to her boyfriend's ex. And it's worse than that. We'll be back right after this, after the news and a couple of sponsors. How can it be worse? Yeah, Jillian in our chat room knows that it's gross. We'll be back. Yeah, we found here. This is the.
I heard you say the news at the first time, so that's why some people like it playing. But so when you say the hard break or whatever, that's when you want it, boss.
Yeah,
right.
And basically only a minute in, or 30 seconds if I seem to be going long in the tooth. If I'm like, he's not gonna notice. If you're ever worried, you can always go, we need a break, so you can raise it up in the last 30 seconds before it tips over into it. And I'll always bail out, so fear not. It's good. It's not, dude, we're both learning this on the fly. Fear not.
True, man. This is also the one day to make mistakes if I am. It's not going out really on the air, so.
It's perfect.
Absolutely. I do wish I had some boo sound effects, though, when you mentioned Giuliani and the drunk crazy one, though, man. Good Lord.
I don't know. Did you see the full video or just the clip, the 90-second part that everybody's shared?
So I watched parts of it or whatever, where she was just kind of like, what did you do to it and all that.
What did you do to the books? What did you guys do? You know how many people how many registered voters are in the polls? 0. Okay, 0. And you're like, no.
What's wrong with you?
The poll books only have registered voters. That's what they're a book of. And the whole 0, okay, 0, that amazed me. That was fun. The scary part of this woman is what I'm about to play, and you guys can't see it, but she has audio recordings of the son being with his dad and taunts the kid with the recordings.
The son being with the father?
Yeah, and the mom, I guess. She has knowledge of audio recordings of the son when his father actually spends time with him and taunts the kids with the recordings.
Good Lord. Something wrong with her. I mean, the whole team is just like, you saw the Indian one who was like basically just up there being like mask off racist. It's like, good Lord, man.
Yeah.
Hey, all skin folk ain't kin folk. I'll tell you that right now.
Seriously.
She's like, you out there just being racist, lady.
Yeah, all Chinese people look alike. That business. And I'm like, well, I'm sure all Chinese people are very happy to find out they all look like Andy Lau right now, because he's devastatingly handsome, damn it, and it's rough. What an upgrade for all.
Real,
I didn't realize.
I don't even get it, man.
I didn't realize how much I just automatically look like Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? Just kind of. What's the difference?
I look like Denzel, but I'm about
That's
that
right.
though, man. I'm about looking like Denzel.
That's right. But in like Fallen Training Day era. Yeah, or
I'll take that, man. Rock the do-rag cap. You like getting wet?
Okay.
You like getting wet?
Okay. Yeah, we just watched Fallen the other night. Random as hell, but like that. That's one of those movies that like sticks around with me, like Mr. Frost, the Jeff Goldblum movie, which is really random too. But like Fallen, like the cast in it is kind of incredible. The fact, they got
as well, boss.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry. We're gonna.
No, what is in Fallen? I don't think I've seen that one, bro.
It's Denzel, and he plays a cop who's chasing basically an evil spirit who can jump from body to body. This guy Elias Koteas, who's an amazing actor and was for a long time seen as the poor man's De Niro. He's fantastic. He's such a sweet guy and a great actor. He plays a serial killer who dies. And then, he's speaking Greek and other stuff and Aramaic, and then his spirit leaves his body, and he can jump from person to person just by touch. So they have to touch somebody, and it's about him kind of realizing something supernatural is going on and trying to come up with a plan to kill this thing. Azazel, right? That's the angel. That's the angel. Yeah.
Oh, true, man. I'm gonna check that. That sounds good. Where do you stream it somewhere, or you own it?
I think it was on. I want to say it was on Amazon Prime, but I'm pretty sure I own it. I think we were watching it on my iTunes. I own it. I own a lot of movies like that because I'm like, this is so. They do so much with so little. There's so many great actors in it, but they're not. It's not a lot of like huge location car chases. Yeah, thank you. We'll talk about that. Whole other show. Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. We're on WCPT 820 normally, and I think I don't know if we're back up on the air there or we're just on the website and you're just listening to this as a podcast later on and as the
I can go check for you, boss.
Yeah, thank you. The Hal Sparks Radio podcast, Mega Worldwide, which is available on the Sexy Liberal Network via Stephanie Miller. Also, just on that marker, we are doing a sort of a best of with a couple of extra Christmassy things for Sexy Liberal over the Christmas holiday. And there's a package now where you can get all the Sexy Liberal shows we've done in one fell swoop before, it's kind of like fruit. The jokes will go bad because they were timely. You know what I mean? They're not going to last. Although some of my stuff is timeless. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty great. But, I'm also, I'm back and forth with whether I'm going to do my Christmas special that I'm planning via Run the World, which is what we use for the Sexy Liberal shows, or whether I'm just going to do it through my many finagling channels. We'll work that out over the next little bit. It really has it's a lot of work. We'll figure it out. So, what I was saying before we went to break was that the obscenity-related computer crime that Melissa Carone, this is Cassandra7 posted this on her Twitter. The obscenity-related computer crime that Melissa Carone was prosecuted for involved sending an explicit video of herself. By the way, according to this, it's multiple. But yeah, and either way, explicit video of herself having sex with her fiance to his ex-wife, according to his son. Yeah, you read that part. According to his son. The guy has young children, and she sent this video, and the boy has seen it. Lovely. Apparently, she has knowledge of audio recordings of the son when his father actually spends time with him and taunts the kid with the recordings. Her words. She posted these things on her Facebook page, which she said she was censored from using, and then she took down on her own. The children that she has, she's got two moms and she's two girls and 2 degrees. I do not believe it's an adult son, but I don't know. I don't know that makes it necessarily better. Underage makes it worse. It's just bad. So, I also want to bring up the fact that over the course of her testimony, and I'm going to bring this also up on the chat because some of the folks watched that as well. But in her affidavit that she filled out or quoted or what have you, she presented this paperwork and stated that she, as part of their exhibits, what she did and what she went through. And I'll show this on the chat to the chat as well on the live stream. But we saw it yesterday. Some of the folks saw it yesterday when I was going through it. And her testimony when she spoke before the Michigan gathering of state senators. It was a cross section. It wasn't everybody, but it was a cross section of the state senators that were there. When she spoke to these folks, she said that she was not a Dominion employee. They asked her specifically, "Are you a contractor of Dominion voting systems?" And she said, "No, I work for a temp agency." She gave the name of it. And they assigned me to work on that day, helping with, quote, IT. To the extent that I have heard what she actually did that day, was she, according to her testimony, helped with, wait for it, 1 paper jam. Now, I don't know if that qualifies as IT. I wouldn't know. I mean, I think certainly the guy in Mindhunter who had a brush with the BTK, helping that guy get some of his papers out of a printer, I would bump that guy up. That would raise that guy's base pay after that circumstance. But she was a temp. She did not work for Dominion. She was not contracted by Dominion. Dominion did not seek her out. They did not get her resume, as she said, at all. They got a group of people from this temp agency that had IT degrees to come there and help. That was it. That was the only... She asked to be there, essentially. So she says in her affidavit that... And I'll see if this... my name is Melissa A. Caron. I was contracted by Dominion Voting Services to do IT work at the TCF Center for November 3rd, 2020 election, and I'm a resident of Wayne County. Other than her name and the fact that she is a resident of Wayne County, which I'm assuming are facts, the rest of that is a lie. Well, maybe the date. No, because she wasn't contracted to do that work on that date because she was never contracted to do that work. She was assigned as a temp worker to help with computer stuff, like if your your Ethernet cable or your USB cable goes bad and you have to swap it out. She perjured herself in the first sentence of her affidavit. This is her. This is a. They keep arguing. This is evidence. This is evidence. This is Trump's argument. This is evidence. We have so much evidence. Affidavits are evidence. They're not. They're assertions by people that they've sworn to, allegedly. But that does not mean they saw what they saw. It means they say what they think they saw, which she does a lot. I will spare everyone the entirety of this ridiculous blather. But she was not contracted by Dominion Voting Services to do IT work at the TCF Center on November 3rd. According to her testimony in front of the state Senate, which we watched all the way through yesterday on my live stream, she was hired as a temp in this temp service, and they contracted with Dominion to provide them with temp workers for a couple of different sites. And they sent her to one of the sites, and she refused to go. She was supposed to go to the Chicago warehouse, is what she called it, and she didn't want to go because she didn't want to leave her car in a parking lot and take a shuttle to the center, to the Chicago warehouse. Her mom said, "No, don't do it. No, don't do it. No, don't do it." So she said, "I'm not going to that place." And they said, "Well, we can send you over to the TCF Center and you can park near there." So she herself chose where she was going to work that day. She was not assigned anywhere. She refused to go where she was sent. And she's a temp. And she helped with one paper jam and wandered around drunk yapping at the vice president of Dominion, who apparently Trump says we don't know who owns Dominion, but this guy's part owner. All right. So much of what she says here, she read verbatim at the place. This is pretty hysterical. If you want to read the whole thing, and then I recommend to any trolls who disagree with what I'm saying or don't believe me, go watch her entire testimony and read her affidavit. Simply compare the two. That's all you got to do. It has nothing to do with me. You can go have a little project on your own. Just work on it on your own. Create your own product out of it. Make a little video where you go beat by beat and follow along with what she says in front of the legislature versus what she says actually there, especially when she's asked questions. But the fun part, and again, this is a woman who sent videos of herself having sex with her boyfriend to her boyfriend's ex and to the son, or the son saw it because of the dad, and she has recordings of the dad playing with his son, who is young, and she taunts him with the recordings, either not playing them or making fun of them. Just lovely. The section 3 of what she writes, the counters, and then in parentheses, which were trained very little or not at all, which she has absolutely no knowledge of because she wasn't there for the training or the lack thereof, were handed a batch, quote, in quotes, stack of 50 of mail-in ballots in which they would run through the tabulator. The tabulators would get jammed 4 to 5 times an hour. Then when they jammed, the computer would put out an error that tells the worker the ballot number that was jammed and gives an option to either discard the batch or continue scanning, at which the counter should discard the batch. Run that by me again. Gives an option to either discard the batch, throw them out entirely, don't even bother continuing the job, or continue the count, at which the counter should discard the batch. Put the issue ballot on top of the batch and rescan the entire batch. I witnessed countless workers rescanning the batches without discarding them first, which resulted in ballots being counted 4 to 5 times. Okay, none of them were counted 4 to 5 times. They all have a UPC symbol. It registers that this one's already been counted, this one's already been counted, this one's already been counted, this one hasn't. That's how it works. None of them were, by the way, putting the entire batch back through. They had multiple batches, blocks of 50. They would take the one that didn't go through from the last batch, put it on top of the next batch, put that batch through. That's why I only saw 50 papers, but they had 400 counted on their thing. That's because you weren't looking at the 3 other stacks, which are on video. It's super. My mic, what happened? Oh, yeah, sorry. Hey, look at that. We lost audio. That's fun. Did you miss the whole he part? Is that what happened? Super fun. Why did you go there? On the 8th day of November 2020, before me personally appeared Melissa A. Carone, who in my presence did execute the foregoing affidavit, and who, being duly sworn, deposes and states that he has read the foregoing affidavit by him, subscribed and knows the contents thereof, and that the same is true of his own knowledge and belief, except as those matters he states to be in the information to behalf, and as to those matters he believes them to be true. So they, it takes us all the way to the end of her affidavit to find out that she's a man. I don't actually think she is. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. We'll be back. Sorry about the sound dropout. I don't quite know what that was. I didn't touch my mic, so it just went haywire for a second. Obviously, I've been hacked. Terrible. Won't stop me. Can't stop, won't stop. We'll be back right after this. Or will we? What happened? Is Chicago not hearing me? They should be. Yeah. I'll reload my clean. Will we? I was not seeing any registered sound in that. And I don't know why. Yeah. Lost you for a second. Hold on. Not sure why. Give me a second.
Hey, Hal. I brought you back through the.
Can you hear me?
Through the
Lost you for a second. Hold on. Not sure why.
No, it's fine. I brought you back through Adobe, boss man.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why. I see the audio going where it's supposed to be going, but I don't see it going into clean feed, which is weird. Which is how we get our audio there. What's up, clean feed? What's going on? Can you hear me currently through the regular system? Or are you listening to me through YouTube? Or what have you? I guess.
I just got you through. I'm playing you offline.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's why
there'll be through YouTube. Delay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. I will try and figure out what's up with this whole thing. Hold on. Turn that off. Okay. Turn it back on. Okay. Go back to here. Check 1, check 2. Why is that weird? It's very odd. I don't quite know why it would have a problem with this. I'm going to shut that page and start it again. See if we can fix this little guy. Hello. We'll move her over here. Thank you. Excuse me. So I'll be a little bit delayed from the... No. Oh, there we go. Now we're back on Chicago, on Clean Feed, guys. And you're connecting right now. Excellent.
Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So, sorry, a little audio kerfuffle on that, but we're back to normal, or abnormal, as it were. And I don't know if we're back on regular, the Chicago way or not, but it's hard to tell. But as far as the station working again, but at the very least, we are mega worldwide, as we often are, because we are literally all over the globe. And I want to thank everybody who's listening and watching and watches later, and maybe you don't watch this when we're live and you're like, I can't be part of the conversation. I don't know if that's what your voice sounds like. Probably not if you're in France, I would say. But if at any given point you feel like joining us, I'm on streaming live every day, except Sunday. That varies. 3 o'clock on Pacific time on my YouTube channel, on my Twitch channel, which is the preferred and safest form these days. I'm still gun shy with YouTube, like a lot of people. And then of course Periscope and Facebook. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. That helps immensely, of course. And also, thanks to the trolls for sort of being the cantaloupe in the fruit salad. You know what I mean? Like every meal needs filler. You know what I mean? To make it not seem so sparse. Rice is a staple. You shouldn't feel bad. You're just, you're a starch, and that's okay. And I feel slightly sad for you, a little bit, not much. But thanks, Carmen. Thank you, Michelle. And hey, what's happening, Gonzo? Thank you, Michelle, so much. So there are a ton of these cases that that have been thrown out insofar as Trump's attempts to pretend that he has a shot. And I mean, newsflash, none of these are going anywhere. And not because there's a vast conspiracy. And not because there's something, the big tech and big media and big Democrat and big China and big everybody is bullying Trump and denying him the right to be president magically because after he lost an election. Sorry, you lost. If they're suspect now, when he's been running stuff, why did the Dems lose fair and square last time? How in the world are we supposed to not think he stole 2016 by paying off electors in place? I mean, honestly. Did they buy votes? Did they have... I mean, obviously in places like Georgia, you had Brian Kemp limiting voting places and, polling places and voting machines and that kind of stuff, which definitely scuttled the vote to some degree. But I think most of us know it was a lot of fake progressives, the faux-gressives of the world, who didn't vote because they were harumphing about Hillary and how bad can Trump be, in spite of his admissions of sexual assault and his absolutely racist statements. Wherein, that balance, apparently that was enough for them to not vote or hand it over. And they were enough to tip the scales in 3 states, which gave the Electoral College to Trump. He still lost the popular vote. He's never won the popular vote. And he never will. And I'll, as I've been calling things, like I called 306 and I called 7 million plus votes for Biden over Trump, I will also call this. Donald Trump is not going to run for president in 2024. What he is going to do is he's going to, thank you, Arcading, for becoming a Patreon supporter. Thank you. What he's going to do is pretend to run for about 2 years and fleece his supporters. They will continue to send their money in, broke as they are, and he's going to ultimately, That victory fund, because it's a PAC, does not have to be spent. And he's going to end up he's going to end up spending your money on his own properties. Because without that money, all of his properties, his golf courses, they're all going to be in probate. They don't make enough money to stay afloat. And Mar-a-Lago, the only way Mar-a-Lago has been, and I don't think it's even officially turned a profit yet, is they doubled the entry fee to join Mar-a-Lago when he became president. That's the only way that, and of course, charging the Secret Service retail, which is another part of it. By the way, isn't the whole point that, I'm a billionaire. I don't even need the money. I'm just doing this because I love my country. Well, then why are you charging the highest possible rate to all of the government support structure that are there to save your life? And why would we be surprised that somebody like that would hire an attorney like Rudy Giuliani that would eventually have witnesses like Carone and the guy who's wagging his crank at children? This is not some sidecar. This is not some offshoot, this weird anomaly of the Trump administration, campaign, or business. This is exactly in line with how Trump does business. He farms it out to idiots and then either doesn't pay the bill or sues or ignores his debts if it goes south. He's not going to build another thing, in this country anyways. He'll build stuff in other countries. He'll put his name on stuff. Trump is a branding exercise. We know this about him. Trump has turned his father's real estate company into a stamp. That's it. That's why Trump Steaks and Trump Water and Trump whatever, because he doesn't know how to build anything. He knows how to buy stuff, put his name on it, and sell it to you as if it's good. He didn't teach at Trump University. He didn't give a big speech at Trump University or the keynote at Trump University. They set up a trap for suckers, and he made money off them. And he's doing the exact same thing again. Yeah. So, and somebody in our chat was saying the witnesses don't make money. Rudy is running this for, running this grift for Trump. And that's because until Trump gets paid a lot, Rudy won't get paid a little. And every aspect of Trump's presidency has been indicative of exactly the way he works. Living off the things that he was handed, that he did nothing to contribute to, his father's wealth, the Obama economy, the recovery, 6 years of job growth uninterrupted. And he skated on it until it ran out of steam. And then his own ideas had to pick up where that started to fall apart, and none of them work. We entered a recession in February before COVID came in. Go back and watch all of his videos before March 15th about COVID. Look at the fantasy land that man is in. And know that in a lot of ways, his only way out is to get you to think that that's still possibly true. Andrea says he's a hyena. He's a scavenger. Yeah. He's never created a job. He's burned out the jobs his dad created and the ancillary role that came afterwards. He borrowed $56 million from his brother and sister for operating cash for his company because he couldn't pay the utilities. Until they started getting magic money from wherever, he couldn't buy anything. And then he started buying golf courses because they're fantastic for money laundering. In his version of Breaking Bad, they're the car wash. memberships don't cost anything, and it's really about hanging out with people. And if you can say the right people come there, and then especially when you're president, you could charge an extra fee on top of that. I mean, it's going to be he's going to charge admission to maggots and Trumpsters to come down there and go on a tour of the of the Southern White House. This in and of itself there is nothing surprising about Rudy Giuliani having a child molester and a woman who has the only person I've ever heard of charged with first-degree obscenity as their primary witnesses in a legal effort to win an election. And we won't even start on the fact that he wished Ghislaine Maxwell well, because her boyfriend died in prison. That's rough. That's got to be scary. And I hope she, I wish her well. You really? You either don't comment or you go, that's a sordid situation. I'll let the DOJ handle that. This is, and again, right now, I think the biggest part, and we got to take a break. We're at the half, but we're right at the point where Mnuchin right now is trying to deny and sock away $500 billion of the CARES Act funds that were unspent, allegedly unspent, and I think that's the worry, is that we'll find out that he actually siphoned them somewhere. That he's going to send that money, he's going to set that money aside so that Biden can't touch it, so that the $700 billion that we get in this round of funding, or $800 billion to help people who need it, will follow up. That additional money would put us over the $1.3 trillion mark, or 1.1, or 1, it depends on what they end up getting. 1.1 to $1.3 trillion mark, which would be a functional, useful amount of money to help spur the economy along, act as a stimulus, help people, keep them from being evicted. Mnuchin wants that socked away so that the money is not enough. Also because he probably already siphoned a bunch of it off, and this is evidence of embezzling. We'll deal with that when it comes around. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
You only got about a minute of that.
Excellent. And by the way, nailed it on the timing on that one, even though I went long. So
you already know, boss man. It's sorry as well. It's crazy over here. I was gonna tell you we're back on air, and then as soon as I was gonna tell you that, it disconnected from clean feed and was like acting crazy. So
right. Yeah. So it's probably the computers in there. Right. Hold on one second. I think this guy's acting up on me. And of course, it's an all day audio fun. So.
True.
Yeah.
It's also hilarious how you shout out the trolls, man.
Yeah. Well, I in all honesty, the trolls, it's a weird thing because some of them are paid and some of them are obviously running like 5 screens at once, and that's what they do. And then some of them are true believers and dead enders and QAnons who have nowhere else to go because their friends and family won't talk to them. And then there's a bunch that just hate watch, but ultimately all of them boost our numbers. And I started this, the weekly, daily it's just kind of a...
You about to be back as well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you and I could talk forever. I have no doubt. We'll hang out when this is all over.
Definitely, boss.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Lady B! We love her. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So we all know that, grifter's gonna grift. And that is the plan for the night. Donald Trump is down in Georgia. The devil went down to Georgia, and he's looking for an election to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind, and he knows how to make a deal. That was just magic. I mean, honestly. So he's going to be down there allegedly, supposedly, hopefully for the Republican Party. He will be there to drum up support for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue and get them to across the finish line in an election that he says is probably fake anyways, and can you even trust who's registered? Most people are fake, and I wouldn't even use the machines. And I'm not quite sure what the main motivating point will be. Great, you have that song in your head. The Devil Went Down to Georgia. I apologize. I will have you know that Johnny Million and I in high school, we did Devil Went Down to Georgia and played we played Master of Puppets for the Devil's music part. Cool. So, which we need to revive. That needs to be a whole like extended song. But in the course of the next, I don't know, 4 days, how many do we have? Let's see. Thank you, Janet. We have 9 days until the certification. And so what we're going to see over the next little bit is just a bum rush of nonsense from them. And their only chance right now is for these Republican governors or even Democratic governors, which is, I mean, obviously madness, to call together special legislative sessions, force their legislatures to choose electors themselves instead of letting the electoral board do it as they've done it forever, because Donald Trump's a special case. And because there are Republicans and Democrats, the Republicans will choose electors that will vote for Trump, and Biden will, Biden's supporters will choose people who vote, I don't know, with reality. And Rudy Giuliani said as much last night on his Rudy's Common Sense show, which I will be tearing apart on my stream probably tomorrow afternoon, because I think he's going to do another one. We'll do 2 in a row, because they're relatively short. If you take out all the ads for, I think this time it's Gold Cigars and Title Lock. There is, by the way, a March for Trump in Atlanta that was live just a few hours ago. This was technically yesterday afternoon. This video was shot. Kind of light on people, but they bust a bunch of people there, and the My Pillow guy was there, so it was it was worth doing. It's no trip to Paisley Park if you go to Minneapolis, which I highly recommend. But the next best thing, I think, for most people in this kind of situation, believing somehow that Trump has some sort of a shot. Now, let's see. The case today, they had another lawsuit filed, part of the Kraken, I assume, in Georgia. This is the most recent one. On Saturday, the Trump campaign was dealt yet another loss as a federal appeals court smacked down attorney Lin Wood's effort to help the campaign block Georgia from certifying the election results. Now, for the record, that it's super weird that that Trump himself says, "Well, I don't actually have. They don't work for me anymore. We've run them off. Sidney Powell and Lin Wood don't work for us." But in all descriptions, they're doing this for on behalf of the campaign, and maybe that's the difference. Maybe Rudy is his personal attorney. Jenna Ellis works for the RNC. These guys work for the campaign, and that's how they're splitting it up. But the opinion was written by Judge Bill Pryor, and Bill Pryor is on Trump's Supreme Court short list. You remember the list? He was like, why isn't Biden giving a list of who he'd put on the Supreme Court? Well, on his list, Bill Pryor. And Bill Pryor upheld a lower court's finding that the campaign has no standing to challenge the certification of the election and slammed Trump's legal counsel for, quote, basic misunderstanding of fundamental legal principles. According to tweets from BuzzFeed's Zoe Tillman, another GOP election challenge lost 11th Circuit rejected Lin Wood's effort to stop Georgia from certifying. The 3-0 opinion written by Judge Bill Pryor agreed with the district judge that Wood lacked standing and concluded it was moot. Pryor said, the Constitution makes clear that federal courts are courts of limited jurisdiction. Damn, it's when that small government stuff comes back and bites you in the tuchus. You know what I mean? U.S. Constitution Article 3, we may not entertain post-election contests about garden variety issues of vote counting and misconduct that may properly be filed in state courts. So they're trying to go around the court and again file cases where they believe they can add evidence on their way up the chain to the Supreme Court. For the record, they cannot. So, ouch. Apparently there's a lot of confusion in Georgia tonight. The president will obviously handle that. And I will be live streaming, God help me, that rally tonight when it happens and doing my thing over top of it as we do. Taking, I think what Trump would refer to as a huge dump on what he's doing in Georgia. But the reality is a lot of Georgia voters don't know how they're supposed to vote. This is literally like Trump's supporters there. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution profiled some supporters of his and in Georgia who are deeply conflicted about whether or not to vote in the Senate runoffs or to boycott and punish the Republican Party for not doing enough to help Trump overturn the election. Amy Nobile, a sales executive from Milton and a former Democrat who defected to support Trump. She attends conservative rallies, promotes Republican causes to friends, blows up Joe Biden and other Democrats on social media. And said the report, but she isn't sure what is the MAGA thing to do now. How am I supposed to vote? I don't have the answer and I'm frustrated, she said, adding of her vote, does it count? Amy, yes, it counts. Go vote. I hope your candidates lose, but you have every right to vote in this country. Go vote. Have your vote counted. Don't let anybody talk you out of your vote. See that? I'm already building bridges. That's what I do. Grayson voter Tammy Converse, really, told the paper, I don't think we should vote until we fix the systems. We need to let Republican leaders, them, is what she said, know that it's not acceptable. It's tough, but I don't think any voting is acceptable until they prove it's safe. I guarantee this woman isn't wearing a mask, doesn't care about COVID, but she's worried about the safety of her vote. What do you mean safety? I would argue maybe what she means is secure. Well, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she's worried that her vote won't be secure. It's secure. Go vote. I don't want my candidates winning because you guys didn't vote. I would rather us just outnumber you. That's how democracy works. Unlike your president, I want to live and win honestly. So he continues to, file these lawsuits, and that's the problem. While he's arguing the lawsuits, it's hard to keep straight the story about whether or not there's a valid, even a possibility of voting in the state of Georgia for a lot of these people. And again, to them, I would say, vote. Absolutely. Make sure you vote and vote your conscience. And if you're like, well, it's the lesser of two evils, you're an idiot. Vote. Only people who don't have children would not actively seek the lesser of two evils when those are your choices. Honestly, how far do you have to fall and how little do you have to care about your country and your fellow Americans to go, I don't know. I don't even know if I should. I don't feel like, is voting really a thing? Because there's been a systematic attack on democracy and the value of democracy, And it's been pretty consistent over the last 2 decades. Some of it's come from outside the country. Some of it's been within the country and been boosted by people outside the country. Some of it is, hyper right, some of it's hyper left. But everybody needs to know that anytime that message comes up, anybody who tries to tell you don't vote or your vote doesn't matter means you ill. They intend to seize control of your country, your industry, your county, your state by the easiest means possible, which is you handing it over to them. Thank you, Ruthie, for that. Oh, for becoming a yearly patron. Lovely. Thank you. There has to be a conversation after this is all over about a renewed vigor about voting. And maybe we have it. In all honesty, people came out to vote this time. People, there was huge turnout. Joe Biden is at 81 million votes. That's extraordinary. And every single vote counts. And again, I've told you this guy, and we got to take a break before our last little section, but Feed the Potential says, are you really telling them to vote for QAnon and vote for the racist fascists? I'm telling them to vote their conscience. I will never step between somebody and their choice to vote. What they do with their vote is a moral choice on their part. But I'm never going to talk anybody out of voting. I feel secure that my side will eventually, if not in all cases, in most cases, be victorious by volume, by the power of the people to vote. And if you give everyone in this country the ability to vote, and they can do it without it being an extraordinary, the potential for losing their job, or they have to take time away from their kids when they don't have it, and yada yada, to try and vote. The easier you make it for people so that they can voice their true belief in how the country should go, the more we will get towards, I think, a more perfect union and certainly more democratic leaning country, which is why they try to stifle the vote. And since they were because Trump needs to win big, they couldn't stifle the vote as much as they wanted to. So now they have to live with the fact that they got stomped. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. WCPT 820. This is water. Yeah. I can get my, it took me a while when I used to fill in for Steph before I had my own little chunk of the radio airwaves here. And it was weird figuring out the breaks and how to do the pitches and stuff like that. You know who my inspiration for getting my the rattle of the show and all the details off was? Sorry, go ahead. Yeah?
Oh, my bad. I thought you were talking to me.
No, I was talking. I talked to the chat. I'm talking to I'm talking to anybody who listens, man. But yeah, I was talking to the chat about this. But hold on. Let's see. There is. I don't know if I want to bring it up in this. But
you got about 30 seconds.
Thank you. Ryan from Film Riot does his little prattle about the opening of his show, and if you watch the beginning of his the first few episodes of Film Riot, it's like lumpy and draggy and stuff, and now it's like a verbal tick. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes on the effects. And it's so it just sounds like it sounds like his tongue's falling down a flight of stairs, but it works.
Yeah, no, getting those little cues is definitely a little bit.
Yeah,
but I got you though, boss man.
Yeah, it's a challenge. We'll get it. This is fun. And the nice thing about my show is that nobody's a demanding weirdo.
Back as well.
Yeah, here we go. All right.
Here is the Mega Worldwide Radio program with Hal Sparks.
That's right. That's Dick K. By the way, he's on he's on right after us on WCPT 820 in studio and everything. So jealous. I have to say, on a personal note, Chicago, I love you and I miss you. I'm out here in Vegas where it is surprisingly cold, but not cold enough. Nobody I'm around likes the cold. And so I'm the only person who misses Chicago winters. And it's simply the price you got to pay for the spring and the Indian summers. It's just so nice.
You're probably the only person who misses Chicago winters.
That's right. I may be. But I went through, I've gone through, I went through a lot of life in Chicago. It was, that's a turning point city, and it's probably the single most valuable piece of geography in my existence, and I love the place. And eventually in my 60s, maybe I'll run for mayor. We'll work it out. Maybe that's
you
what I
got my
do.
vote, boss.
Thank you. I think we could do this. I think we do it. But ultimately, what we need to do first is kind of get through this little piece. And there are two concerning things. I usually try to end the show with a happy ending. And the happy ending, I will guarantee for you guys a couple of things. One is Joe Biden's going to be sworn in on the 19th/20th, depending on when they do the ceremony versus when they do the swearing, and whether he does it in the in the Oval because of COVID and other stuff. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that we don't know in this round of things. But he is the president-elect, and he and Kamala will become the next president and vice president of the United States. That is a fait accompli. It is done. It is true. It shall be. That's it. And Trump will flail about this, but even he and his own staff know that he's talking out of his backside, which he does with great regularity. Not as often as Rudy, but I digress. And there will be a grift after this for his followers and his supporters. But many of us remember the political trends of years ago, the Tea Party. Some of these groups morph over time. You can obviously see the seeds of QAnon in the Tea Party. And you can see the root of sort of base anti-Semitism that kind of rides through all of those. That's a curious adjunct to all of those philosophies. It's always been curious to me. I just, don't get it. I don't understand what the big concern is. I don't know why that particular group of people, these folks have centered in, are the essence of their problem. Nobody has been a bigger problem in my life than me. Because that's what taking responsibility and being an adult is all about. That'll be kind of our drift out on today's show. But there's something really, this is a stark contrast to the Donald Trumps and the Rush Limbaughs of the world, who pretend to be these ubermensch supermen who, have this marine-like mentality allegedly in their lives. And yet, when it comes down to it, it's always someone else's fault. In the case of, I think of Rush, it was his cleaning lady who brought him the 30,000 pills that he didn't have a prescription for. That was her mistake. Obviously, that's the outlier. But in everything that Donald Trump does, anything that doesn't go his way is not because of him. It is always your fault. And ultimately, at some point, the maggots will disappoint him. They will either stop ponying up their dough, or they won't pay to go to the rallies, which he's been talking about doing for a bit now during his break between presidencies, which is what he's going to allege. He's going to charge for you guys to go to his rallies. And you're not going to do it. Not twice, anyway. Some of you will. Some of you will deadhead all over the place. But it will always be your fault. It won't be because he's a colossal bore. Thank you, Kimberly. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. Good Lord. That's incredible. Thank you. There is no point where he will take responsibility. That's why he won't concede. It is the exact same emotional nerve for him. concession means failure. And since he's the only guy running against Biden, he's the failure. I mean, believe me, if most of his friends were running, they would blame Brad Parscale. But all of this points to the fact that Trump is incapable of taking responsibility like an adult. It is always someone else's fault, which is not something you want in a leader. I have a copy of Harry Truman's desk plaque that says, "The buck stops here." I got it at the Truman Museum in Kansas. Harry Truman is one of my favorite presidents. And I got that not as a reminder of Harry Truman being important to me or just being a great president, but for my own desk, for my own thought, for my own being. I've lost a bunch of things in my life. Chicago knows I came in second in the funniest teenager in Chicago contest the year before I won. Thanks, Gonzo. I'm a fan too. I lost on Celebricadabra, but learned how to do close-up magic, which is incredible. You take what you can gain from the failures or the losses in your life, and you use them to expand yourself. Trump is literally constricting right now. And effectively, this will be, I'm going to call it tonight. In the teleprompter will be, you have to elect Perdue and Loeffler, and you have to. You'll hear a bunch of that. But the rest of it will be him whinging about Brian Kemp and Raffensperger not throwing the election his way. The rest of it will be him complaining and saying, we won this, and getting everybody to yell really loud that, yeah, we won. But it won't change a thing. And it will peter out, and it will become sad. And maybe Ivanka, maybe Don Jr. tries to take the ego space, in the ego vacuum he leaves. They will try to fill that space, and they will fail miserably, and it will amount to nothing, and they will start selling golf courses in about a year and a half. Some of them may not last the summer, but I'm going to give them an outside edge since all the maggots are throwing money into his pocket at an extraordinary clip. And that money is not going to get him to run for president. That's not going to defend him in court. That's not going to salvage his electoral chances this time around. It's going to pay his bills and pay his debts to foreign people that he will not mention. He will not tell you who they are, which is what you want in a leader. You know what I mean? Debts that you know he has, but he won't tell you who they are. So over the course of the next couple of weeks and into the next 9 days, you will see a quickening of Rudy Giuliani's flop sweat, hair oil seeping down the sides of his face. Maybe they'll bring Sidney Powell back into the fold because it was a mistake to let her go. There will be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth. There will be wars and rumors of wars. But on the 14th, the election will be certified. All the states have already done it. It's not even a question. But I want you to keep that in mind, that it is not going to change. And by the way, I'm going to be at Biden's inauguration. We don't know what form it will take, but my girlfriend and I are going to be in D.C. on that day, just to support. If we have to stay in our hotel room and just watch on TV, there are worse ways to spend a day with your girlfriend. So, but if there are ways we can go out safely in public, we will. We'll take every precaution. We'll be bundled up. It'll be chilly. You'll be masked up just because it's cold. But I do want to remind you that that's going to happen, that the certification is going to happen, that all the court cases have failed and will continue to fail if they even bother to file any anymore. They are gibberish. I have read them. And what we will find out, in in the end of this is that every activity, and I want you I want to remind you as I sign off, and thanks Dylan and Devin, you guys are amazing. Thanks so much today. I want to remind everybody that as you watch Donald Trump, make little statements, tweet like a maniac, do his little gathering in Georgia, as you see Rudy Giuliani et al. Gathering in these places, know that they know it's over. They are doing this to raise money off of his supporters. They are fleecing people, and you are watching it happen. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody else, I'll be live streaming later on. I'll be on Stuttering John's podcast right after this at 12:15 and my time, and I will see you guys next week on the radio show. And thanks to all the new patrons. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Al Boss.
Absolutely, man. I'll hopefully we'll all have a pizza gathering around the show at some point at the whatever that place was they all had us go to do a live shot. When this is all done and everybody is inoculated and we're safe and we're good. Yeah.
For real, I feel that definitely, man.
Absolutely.
But first we got to get the maggots on board.
That's right. All right, take care. Cheers, guys. Bye. Signing off. There we go. And now, I think we're alone now. I've got 80s hair, so I can sing that. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. So, yeah, I didn't get to do as much troll brooming, nor did I find it as necessary today. But yeah, Dylan's a new engineer. This is only his second time doing it. They're training him up on the board, and he's awesome. He's a good dude. I've never met him in person. Where would I see this Stuttering John podcast? On Stuttering John's YouTube page. I'll be doing that. So, love you too. Love you guys. And thanks for that. It just wouldn't take your PayPal. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry about that. Yeah, we're all hunkered down. Hal to the chief is the one we all say Hal to. We all say Hal because he keeps himself so clean. I will. We will keep it lit for sure. No, more of the trolls are on Facebook, because that's where, as much as they've tried to broom out the cues, that's where they loiter with, and they just use different code words. After this is all over, and if we get some of these folks medicated where they can actually be trusted to drive a car between the lines, some of these Q people might be great as code breakers, except all you have to do is take whatever they think the message says, and it says the exact opposite. You have to have a Q translator for them, because they'll get it that wrong. Thanks, Gail. Hi. David, you don't get to just dump a big stupid pile of nonsense in my chat, like your little cut and paste diatribes. That's my favorite part, was where they put in text like this much. You're like, dude, you cut and paste that shit. Get out of here. Thanks, Jamie. Brother's got a hug. I agree. Oh, I'm a big hugger. That's one of the reasons why I can't wait for this this whole COVID thing to be over. But we will wait until then. The Georgia fiasco, that's a good question. Thank you, Corrine. Let me look real quick. Because, oh, by the way, this is, I occasionally, I am indefatigable. It's true. Thanks for noticing, by the way, fellow Python fans. There is 443. Holy smokes. Tom, thank you so much. There is a QAnon getting your news via mirror. I don't know. Hand mirror, where you're looking at your own anus. Checking the news. So, there was, check this out. Billed as live March for Trump bus tour resumes in Atlanta at Georgia State Capitol building. Yeah. Fist giving a hand job on the bus. Okay. And then, so they have a couple of these are there. It's Right Side Media, so it's there. And right out of the gate, my pillow. Yeah, so my pillow guy is there. Just
get
hanging.
down here with you. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Look, like they put him up and they run the My Pillow thing. What are you covering for? Just running the ad while he talks? Is that the only way you could get him on the air? Is you have to? I mean, he is a sponsor of Brightside, so Christ, they had to run his ad or he wouldn't talk to them.
No, if Donald Trump would have just won, and they didn't.
He didn't. Well, I'm glad you noticed.
Cheat enough. So you got to realize what happened was
he didn't. That Trump didn't cheat enough. Is that what you just said?
Won. And they didn't cheat enough. So you got to realize what happened was.
Oops. So basically, he's been talking to Trump, and he knows the plan to cheat, and they were trying to do all kinds of stuff with the ES&S machines and stuff, but it just didn't do it. And some of the states don't use the same machines on all over their states, and damn it, we got to deal with ES&S to throw the vote to Trump, like in Texas. And then, we paid them a shit ton of money. We just didn't figure we had to pay Dominion. We figured we just, wah.
On election night at 11:15, it broke the algorithms of the machines.
Yeah, this is his fantasy about how the Dominion machine's like, wait a minute, we can't cheat this much, which is arguably how the ES&S system.
And when it broke that, it's because Donald Trump had so many votes
that he still wouldn't be able to catch up with the mail-in votes.
They didn't expect. So they shut everything down at the exact same time and had to backfill these votes.
No. That, by the way, never happened. And we've looked at the video of the people who were supposedly in the Michigan thing, bringing the suitcases full of ballots out and running them in the night. Okay, that's their evidence that they believe happened everywhere, even though it only happened there and it wasn't illegal. Yeah.
Okay, this is what you're all going to see.
Okay, tell us what we're going to see, My Pillow Man.
Trust me. Now, when they did that, if that hadn't happened, if it would have just been everyone have said, well, it's mail-in voting, I guess he could have got 80 million votes. No, it's impossible. Any mathematician, there's so many deviations in this election. I look at stuff.
Yeah, one of the biggest deviations is that mail-in voting is way up because people don't want to die
all day long.
What do you want to guess that My Pillow guy thinks that the COVID numbers are overstated? How many sentences do you think it would take him to get to the only 10% of people that they say died of COVID? How long do you think it would take him to get there? I would go 2 sentences.
With numbers, and I spot things. Well, this radio station couldn't have done this much money, or this newspaper couldn't have done this. So I looked at counties myself.
Yeah, he looks at private companies and advertising data for his ads. Basically, I don't know how anybody else, I have 1.2 million minutes of viewing a day. I mean, I have more time than other people, according to math.
Impossibilities exist. 100% impossibilities. But
yes, it's impossible that Trump got some of the votes that he got, but I don't think you're going to get it. You're going to convince him.
That's not what we're based on, just these deviations.
Nah.
All this evidence that the deviations brought up, now you got to figure in, deviations only happen if you have a different input, you get a different output.
You mean like literally 50% of the electorate leaning towards or largely going with mail-in voting being a different input? Did you do something funny with books?
So it had to come from somewhere. And
yeah, it did. It came from mailboxes.
We have 100% proof of where it all came from.
You have 100% proof of where it all came from. Yeah? That's it? 100% proof. So why are you losing in court? Why are you not putting your 100% proof in your filing as evidence in your filing? Why are you asking for a separate evidentiary hearing so that, all right, because Rudy just wants to be on camera entering stuff into the record that will eventually get tossed out because it's either described rightly as another activity entirely, no matter what he said, or not even from the state he's in.
Now, if that hadn't happened, this corruption would have just got worse next election and next election. Pretty soon we don't have a country. Right now, I want everybody to know that we're going to win this. I'm 100%. I asked Sydney, she's 100%. Lynn's 100%. Not 98. I said to them, 90.
Not at 98, 99. I know numbers. Numbers are important. So I'm 100% sure that this, not 98% sure. I asked Lynn and Sydney. Yeah. I don't doubt they agreed with you.
98%, no, 100%. If you knew what I knew, everybody's got to just be confident out there, and we need to know if we're, I want millions of people. There's 80 million people out there, but
that voted for Joe Biden?
It's more than that. It's our whole country. It's, a couple 100, 300 million, whatever it is. We're all.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, it's just your country. 320.
All should want this to. This would end our country, And I want to talk to the Democrat Party. You guys don't get it. Your party, that ship sailed a long time ago. That's not the Democrat Party. My friends that used to be just traditional Democrats.
Yeah, well, we're definitely not the Democrats of 1958. I will give you that. I will give you, and maybe perhaps. Excuse me, you could go over to Dinesh D'Souza and explain this arc of history thing to him and how time moves forward. And just because something is doesn't mean it was, and just because something was doesn't mean it still is. It's a crazy, yeah. Perhaps, just thinking, maybe you could go explain that to him because it was before the Civil Rights Act when the Dixiecrats, the racist Southern Democrats, all left the Democratic Party, and they were largely the base because of the Civil Rights Act, and became Republicans, and have been Republicans ever since.
This is not that.
So we're not that party anymore. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally.
That party. This is a huge thing. You know who's happy? I got a call today from Australia. A friend of mine there. Really high up businessman, and he said right now in China they're starting to do stuff now, knowing that they think they have Biden.
Yeah, that's right. That's how the Chinese plan. The Chinese have a 50-year plan, but right now they're starting to do stuff because they think they know they have Biden. Because that's Meanwhile, let me spit my COVID into your mouth, young lady, while it's been hanging off my mustache.
And all the stuff, the corruption, they're the ones behind this. They have been behind this. That's why they call it the China virus, okay?
They don't call it the China virus. You do, and Trump does.
You use a pandemic, how horrible it is that we politicized the pandemic. Governors of states, in my governor in Minnesota,
Yeah, it's terrible. You shouldn't politicize a pandemic. Holy shit. Where are you going with this?
He's right neck and neck with the governor of Michigan, some of the worst two governors in history, okay? And I know California and New York, you want to argue that point. But I'll tell you what, when you shut down Thanksgiving, but you got the Mall of America where people can go there, they don't have the pandemic at the Mall of America. They don't have that. They don't have that.
The Mall of America is the largest mall in America, and socially distancing there is actually a possibility. It's ginormous. It has tremendous ventilation. And you walk into a store, you buy something, and you leave. And stores have limited numbers of people who can go into them. The mall itself has a limited number of people who can go into it. You can't do that at Grandma's house. And nobody canceled Thanksgiving. Nobody. You just couldn't go. You shouldn't go. They said don't go. God damn.
After 10 o'clock in restaurants. Oh, now.
Yep, that's right, Gonzo. Strom Thurmond brought the Dixiecrats to the Republican Party. Yep, and now they're the Republican Party that he likes.
Now they don't have it at all because now you have to take takeout. My friends have lost their businesses, that they've had for years, and they ain't coming back.
Why not? Are they just lazy, or is Mitch McConnell not helping them? What's the worst part of it? Oh, thanks. Thank you, Jillian.
When these governors make decisions, our governors in Minnesota, what they did, him and the mayor of Minneapolis, making those horrible decisions this summer, some of the worst decisions and non-decisions ever made.
The worst decisions and non-decisions ever made. By nature, since decision is the same root as incision, cut in, cut out. When you make a decision and you decide to do one thing, you undecide everything else.
That manifested into riots across our country and the world. You know.
Wait. What? Is he saying that the George Floyd, the racial protests in this country were because of COVID restrictions?
It could have been stopped on the second night when our president called our governor and said, "You need the National Guard." No. The next night he goes, "Okay, I'll take 200 of them." When you have a flood coming and you're offered 1,000 sandbags, you don't say, "Just give me 10." I mean, he did this for political.
Yeah, you do. If you don't have anywhere to put the sandbags and they would just block the street. And there's not actually a flood coming. You don't know that there's an actual flood coming. You know after the flood that there was a flood coming, but if everything's working, before the levee breaks, let's just say. The levee, we need 10. We've got a levee. And then, so yeah, we only need 10.
Reasons. So many politicians. This is what Donald Trump's exposing.
Please run for office, sir. I can't wait to watch that.
What we call the swamp. You know, anyone out there that doesn't believe it's real, I deal with it all the time, and I'm not even a politician.
Swamp pillows. They're the worst.
I've seen it. These guys that make choices for their own personal agenda or.
Jeez. Trump, he's calling you out.
Or politics. Our great president makes decisions based on problem, solution, and he's got a gift from God. He knows what it's going to manifest to.
Does he? He knows what it's going to manifest. He's got a gift from God. He looks problem, solution. We have 270,000 dead Americans, you dumb bastard. This is the most... Listen to this asshole. Listen to this. Like, how wound up and moronic do you have to be? Listen, Trump said we have 15 cases and it's probably going to go down to 0 and we've done a really great job. And there's just one lady, she's a little bit sick and it was a guy and he died, but whatever. And, but it's going to be handled. It's not a big deal. We don't need to do any of this stuff or whatever. It's fine, whatever.
Problem, solution, and he's got a gift from God. He knows what it's going to manifest to.
He knows what it's going to manifest. He's just got a natural, it just comes out of him.
He has no agenda from the first time I met him in 2016 other than to help each and every one of us better our lives and have joy while we're here on earth. And that's it. And to help our country.
Oh, and also grab your wife by the vagina.
America first. And, anybody out there, when I go all in, as I have with my pillow, my business, and risk that, everyone says, oh, don't go all in for the president. I met him. I did my due diligence back in 2016. I went all in, and guess what?
What?
I was called a racist.
I don't know that you're a racist, sir. I don't know that I've ever called this guy a racist. I certainly don't think so. I do think he's a deluded sap who has a relatively successful pillow infomercial. And for the record, does anybody know what happened to the ShamWow guy? Anybody? Anybody remember? Yeah. He got arrested for beating up a hooker. Yeah, he was beating up a hooker. They got in a fight and over money, drugs, whatever. Anyways, and which proves that ShamWow doesn't work very well because there was evidence all over the crime scene. But simply because you're a good pitch man or you come up with a singular product does not mean that you're not a wreck in every other aspect of your life. Yeah, and does anybody not know that about the ShamWow dude? Yeah.
Called everything. My business has been attacked. And you know what? I want any business out there or people not to live in fear. That's the game they play. My best day is the day I'm in for my business. I got 2,000 employees, and they stand behind me. They stand behind our president. Some, they see the manifestation of what good leadership can do. and with our great president. And you know, we're in the fight. This is biblical, and this is. But I just want everyone to have.
He's been talking to Sydney again. Sorry, I had to tell Stuttering John I'm going to be on. I forgot that I'm doing the show. I've been talking to you guys, so I've got to get off in a couple minutes and then set up to do that, and get a drink of water, and I'll have some. I think I'll have some tea. You know, it's wonderful in the afternoon. I'm going to be on that, and then I'll whenever the rally is supposed to come up. ShamWow guy just did a ShamWow mask commercial. Wow. I'm the fearmonger, right? Well, you know, I'm glad you're afraid. You should be. Your guy just lost, I suppose. It's scary, but you're going to be okay, and you'll vote for somebody else, and you'll move on, and life will continue, and it's not, you know, you'll make friends. Someday you're going to marry that girl. But I mean, I have no reason to believe that this guy is a racist, but he's absolutely a sap. No, he's not the Flex Seal guy. That's somebody else.
Not just to have confidence, this is a blessing that we're able to, the one chance in history, we're living in times that these are the, I would not want to be anywhere else than right now to fight, you know, it's good versus evil. The corruption that was behind this. I'm not saying the Democrats, I'm saying the party is illegal. The party is corrupt. The people behind it, the media, all the media from, you know, not you guys, I'm talking all the corrupt media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox's even did things. I don't know why they do the things they do. I had one media, I'll say it, Fox when...
Again, Occam's razor. It might be, sir, that reality upsets you. And it may be your refusal to grasp reality that's helped you succeed in business. Because a lot of artists and a lot of inventors and stuff, if they had a genuine sense of reality, they wouldn't strive because the chances of succeeding, I mean, honest to God, here's the chances of a dramatic actor getting a dramatic series that runs its full length, you know, in terms of the number of actors that join SAG and stuff, is minuscule, 0.5 percentage point, right? So I'm in the 1/2 of 1 percentile because of Queer as Folk. The number of comedy actors who get a sitcom that runs its entire length, that does, you know, doesn't get canceled, just goes and goes until it's basically burned out, till their contract's up. Because Lab Rats, I'm in that 0.5 percentile. I don't even know what the percentile is for number of actors who've come up with a hand gesture that eventually was used by a professional sports team every time they hit a home run or a base hit. There is no percentage. I'm in a field of one. So, and I have to be unrealistic to do it. All my life, I've been unrealistic. Because statistical realism isn't a factor in the arts a lot of times, and it certainly isn't a factor in, you know, in inventing, you know? So, and he may be coked out of his mind. That's entirely possible. But the point I'm trying to make is that you have to ignore some levels of reality, or the potential for reality, or the potential for failure to get ahead most of the time. You have to be, but you got to be sane about it.
Let me do my own book ad right before the election because they said it was political. And
it is.
Suck a buck on Facebook. I want everybody to hear this about Silicon Valley. Here's another thing right now on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
On Twitter, when they try to take the president's tweets down right away, we are very blessed that Twitter and their social media, they're very scared, Silicon Valley. That's why they're putting up those little disclaimers. So they're going, well, we let you post, right? But if they wouldn't do that, at least it's getting our message out there.
Yeah, they put that because he's the president of the United States. The minute he isn't, he's an asshole who violates the TOS.
Because the mainstream media is not going to put it out there until they go, what? This is real? They know it's real. They're behind it. They're right up there. They have with Soros and all of them. It's horrible.
Soros. Okay. Okay. The racist thing comes back in, I think. All right.
And it's a shame they're getting exposed too. And you know,
he's starting to wind down. He's lost. He's hit his 5 speed bumps. Let's see where is
see it every day, but I want everyone to know this is the time where people that are conservatives, you're Christians, you're evangelicals, all of us, people on the right, people in the middle, even people on the left, you got to realize that this is the time in history. You can't live in fear. If you're on the fence going, oh, I'm just going to wait and play it out and see what happens. Well,
I'm not on the fence. I'm on the other side of the fence, and for some reason, you are standing in the middle of the road.
By the time you do it, you're going to be sitting in your chair 2 years from now, and it's end times, and you're going,
run, and you'll live. But many years from now, laying in your bed. This is his Braveheart speech.
What's going on? What did I do? This is your only time.
And many years from now, laying in your bed, you'll be flipping channels, watching My Pillow ads, going, what I do? What did I do? What I do? Click. Oh, My Pillow. It doesn't work as well as I thought it does. And this one smells a bit.
They're not going to boycott your business. You know what they do to me when they say, boycott Mike Lindell and My Pillow? You know what they say on Twitter now? They go, don't boycott Mike. He'll double his ads. We see enough of that jerk. And I do. And my best day just keeps going up. When I wore my cross on TV all them years, I was attacked every day. They don't attack me now. They just get used to it. Oh, that'll pass. They go all in for an attack.
What? Who gives a shit if he's wearing a cross? It's not that you wear the cross. It's that you're a hypocritical asshole while you wear a cross. I don't have a problem with Kayleigh McEnany's cross until she says, I will never lie to you, and then lies repeatedly while wearing a crucifix. That's the problem. I have due respect for people's religious emblems that they wear and their clothing and their, the books that they cherish. I do really respect that. I really do. So much so that when you just use it as a way to sell to to get your ads cheaper on CBN, you're going to kind of get called out.
They're like piranhas. And if you give in to them,
they'll chew your ass.
Over. That's their game. We can't give in.
Don't give in to the piranha game.
And more and more people, this is what we're out here doing today, making awareness.
That's
you guys that are sitting.
That's what I'm doing, taking My Pillow money and wrapping a bus for $10,000 and driving a bunch of people. Apparently they have their own ambulance. The Trump train has its own resuscitation box.
At home that everyone's depressed. They got you locked up in these states going, oh, you can't go outside. Just sit in there and watch their fake news on TV. They brainwash you more than thinking Biden's the president-elect. He's the president of the peanut factory. Are you kidding me? He couldn't run
That was Jimmy Carter, by the way. I don't know.
A peanut factory. Not the peanut factories are, I don't know what they are, but I mean, it's
just whatever. Peanut factory. You know what peanut factory? It means peanuts. He's peanuts. Peanuts is usually a word we associate with something that's small, but it's not important. I just was on a riff and I didn't want to feel it. I just felt like I was stuck with the peanut analogy and I just wanted to.
It's a shame.
It's a peanut shame.
Not the peanut factories are just peanut factory. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's just
more than thinking Biden's the president-elect. He's the president of the peanut factory. Are you kidding me? He couldn't run a peanut factory. Not the peanut factories are, I don't know what they are, but I mean, it's just.
So you couldn't run a peanut factory is what you're saying. Fucking hell. These people.
It's a shame. I know the guy, you wonder through all this why he sat in his basement. They had it planned. They just didn't plan on Donald Trump getting 80 million votes.
He didn't get 80 million votes. Biden got 80 million votes.
They didn't plan on that. They flipped these votes. If you look at the real statistics in my home state of...
The real statistics. You can tell the real statistics because they're whiter.
Minnesota, this is where I really dug into numbers. I promised the president we would win Minnesota.
Uh-huh. And you didn't.
And I did. We knocked and called people.
I can't imagine why people.
0.5 million people. 1.5 million in Minnesota. Okay? All these people, and I looked at different counties. I did the statistics. I've lived there all my life. I'm going, we're going to win easily in Minnesota.
Yeah, why? Has that ever been the case for a Democrat or a Republican? Dems usually win it. Why would you think you're going to easily win it if you're going to...
We lost by 200,000.
Uh-huh.
The real stats now that we've looked at...
Ooh, the real stats. If you don't include the black areas of Minneapolis, St. Paul...
won by 65,000. The problem is with Minnesota...
You have to count all the black people.
They had more time to be corrupt because we're the earliest voting state in the country, which is another bad thing. We vote 45 days...
You also have more time to review those ballots. You'd have more time to look at them. You'd have more time to verify them. You'd have more time to cure them. If a bunch of them turned out to be Jesus Christ.
Early. For what? You know, pretty soon it'll be we vote this year for next year. You know? I mean, that's...
I mean, what is that about? I mean, you're going to vote... Next thing you know, you're going to vote for president before you vote for the primary.
Crazy.
It's nuts. It's almost... It's almost as if it's impossible and ridiculous.
I'm going to be on this tour.
I don't doubt it.
I sponsor this tour with...
Yeah, you... Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. You're about to hear it. We just caught the tip of it. Listen to this.
I mean, but I'm gonna be on this tour. I sponsor this tour with the Right Side Broadcasting Network. These guys are great. They tell it like it is.
Ta-da! That's what I call grassroots. The My Pillow millionaire funding Right Side so that they can follow him around and be his own little PR group on a tour in his painted March for Trump bus where no one is marching.
Right Side Broadcasting this tour. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, but I'm gonna be on this tour. I sponsor this tour with the Right Side Broadcasting Network. These guys are great. They tell it like it is. They say this is real news. We're running out of real news, people. You know, we're running out.
So true. Like real news people don't care if the millionaire won't share his umbrella.
And here we're gonna cross this country. We're gonna end up in D.C. I'm gonna be in my home state in a couple days. Tomorrow we'll be with the president here, but in D.C. when we get there, we expect 3 million people.
He's in Georgia. He's going to D.C. This is crossing the country.
That's what we're expecting. So it's gonna be awesome.
I don't know, Gonzo. I mean, I think I have my own theories about a certain swath of the public that has had PTSD basically their entire lives. From the Cold War and AIDS to 9/11 and the 2008 crash. There's a bunch of people who are intellectually and spiritually and mentally splitting hairs right now trying to keep their sanity.
But God bless you all. And by the way, if you use the code RSBN today...
Well, he's from Minnesota, but they're in Georgia. And he's saying we're going to cross this country and we'll be... I guess he's going up to Minnesota and then back?
You're getting My Pillows, $69.99 for $29.99. It's the lowest price in history. And
okay, so this is a My Pillow ad campaign that is stuck on the Trump campaign like a tick. And Right Side is buying his ads and then just interviewing him everywhere to give him... These are infomercials. He's doing infomercials. And the reason he's doing the same thing with Trump, the same reason he wears a cross, he sells his pillow to a very narrow crowd. He's trying to get his My Pillow in all the, like, Trumpster and maggot households. This is a grift.
The proceeds are helping RSBN, Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's helping them.
Oh, he almost said the wrong network.
To support them. You guys have always wanted.
The proceeds are going to, you mean because he uses some of the proceeds to buy ads and television and video, they live off ads?
To support the best network, this is your way to do it. You're supporting my 2,000 employees here, me in the USA, and we're supporting you for the best Christmas gifts ever. By the way, that promo code will also get you up to flippers.
Get out of here. Look at this.
For you guys. We really appreciate his sponsorship, and like he said,
I don't doubt it.
everything that you
And by the way, I think in a couple minutes, they change hosts. They got these dead voters. This is that's the grift that they're doing right there. Let me show you this real quick if I can. Here it is. This is their big moment. Okay, so the march for Trump is actually a car caravan of about 10 cars. If you'll see a vehicle way in the back, see that vehicle? I can't point all the way over there. Way in the back next to the guy in the blue shirt. See that vehicle? That's a hearse. Now they're about to roll this thing up in front of camera as if it just arrived, its big arrival. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I don't count that one. That guy lives in the neighborhood, he's driving by. So 8 cars including and 9 including the hearse. And then the big thing. Watch this.
You have people chanting, dead people can't vote. They've basically
So the cop, that's a police car. Okay. So the cop car is giving them an escort or is telling them to stay off the street because the neighbors are going, can you guys not block the street and don't, if you show up in this with a long gun.
So we've got a hearse coming up here.
It's not like it didn't look like a death threat to anybody.
Where people are coming to cast their votes for the 2 Democrat senators in the state of Georgia. Hold this. We're good, guys. So get a load of this.
They're screaming, dead people can't vote. The only 2 arrests that have been made around people trying to vote for dead people were Trump voters.
They're chanting, dead people can't vote.
Well, it's catchy. It rhymes, and it's got kind of a euphonic... All right. There's Mike. He's hanging out in the back over there. They're filming this for the documentary. This is exciting.
Unless they're...
Yes. Dead people don't vote. Dead people... thank you. Thank you. Is it Colleen? Thank you. I got to make this guy bigger. He's too small. Thank you, Colleen. Appreciate it, you guys.
They're voting Democrat.
Dead people that vote Democrat, even though the only 2 dead people that voted in this election voted for Trump. Yeah. Get the door for the dead people. It's the nice thing to do. Shut the door on the dead people. It's the only nice thing to do.
Oh, no, guys. Democrats are exiting this hearse to cast their vote. They've got fake ballots in hand.
This is so good. This is great. I'm so impressed. Hand job.
This is a great prop. Make this viral, guys.
Yeah, do it. Make it viral. This is the shit. Thanks, Charlene. This is the stuff, guys. Come on. I'm just saying, we at Sexy Liberal are running gunning our little show that we do every month. And it's hard to come up with costumes and that kind of stuff because thank God for Halloween because there was Halloween shops open. But a lot of the costume shops had weird hours, weren't open, that kind of stuff. You had to get stuff last minute. I had to, like, the bald cap situation, beard situation I had to do for Mark Levin was just a nightmare. But we spend the time. I mean, I think I pulled it off. You know? I had my Trump outfit, prison jumpsuit, orange face paint, weird wig, fat suit. I went in. I did the whole thing. Can't just... She's got a napkin on her head.
Maybe we can interview one of these voters.
I'm a Democrat. I voted.
And see why they cast their ballot for Joe Biden. So they've got fake ballots in hand.
Yeah, make this viral, guys. Make it viral. Do this. It's a great angle to make it viral, too. It really sells it more than anything. I think this is like, it's like B-roll of the Walking Dead auditions. Like if they do those group auditions, like big cattle calls for zombies. We need really skinny people and someone missing a foot.
That's what they're holding.
Oh.
And it looks like they're walking up to the gate to cast their ballots.
For Brian Kemp.
For Joe Biden. Democrats have...
Well, that election's over. Living or dead, that would be illegal. I don't understand. Why in the world? Why would they vote if the election's already over? That election, one would say, is dead.
Risen from the grave to cast their ballot for Joe Biden.
Oh, so Joe Biden is life. Okay.
Even though it's a month after the election, I mean, those facts aren't really important to
He just caught himself.
Democrats. They're not really concerned with that. What concerns them most is totalitarian leadership.
Oh, okay. Totalitarian leadership. Yeah. Yeah, because that's why we picked Joe Biden. You know what I mean? Of all the, we obviously have a lot of totalitarians to choose from in the Democratic Party. But, I mean, if you really want to go total, like, iron fist, hammer of God, yeah, you go Joe Biden. The guy who's actually, working with Republicans to get a stimulus package passed. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. We could have, obviously we really wanted the ghost of Hugo Chavez, but he was busy, haunting machines.
And stripping away of the constitutional liberties we have in our country.
What would those be? Your right to be on a live stream on YouTube?
So it's incredible, guys.
Is it incredible?
This is something I've never seen before.
Yes, you've never seen a couple dozen people in the My Pillow guy staging a really pathetic demonstration joke that you want to... Oh, God.
Dead people voting. Dead people voting here outside of the governor's mansion in Atlanta, Georgia. They pulled up in this hearse. They got out. They got their fake ballots ready to go, and they're casting their ballots. Maybe Brian Kemp will come out for this to collect these votes. This is
maybe
quite
he will.
Hilarious, guys.
I mean, he is a Republican.
So I'm kind of doing two things at once here, guys.
You're bullshitting and being confused. Getting rained on. Yeah, you're bullshitting and getting rained on. Those are the two things.
The camera as well as holding the mic here.
Well, My Pillow guy. I almost called him Mike Pillow. You know what, Tim Apple? I'm calling him Mike Pillow from now on. Screw it. that was a good accident. So apparently he's sponsoring this thing, but not really because they don't have enough to afford. And why does the black dude gotta carry the camera and run the mic when the I will say they're nothing if not consistent.
My cameraman's going out to take a few photographs of what's going on here. But yeah, again, we're outside of the governor's mansion. You can't really see much because there's people blocking the site. But
yeah, it's not like you can move around, and the crowd is so thick it wouldn't matter. Yeah, you could walk over there and see what was happening right there. But why? Why would you? I mean, it's only your event.
Up in a hearse, and people got out. You're blocking our shot. Sir.
Yeah, don't want to ruin this shot. Sir, excuse me. We're Kubricking right now, okay, asshole? You come over here in your plaid shirt, hee-hawing your way into my Oscar.
Sorry.
Yes, the good point. The governor's mansion is not a registered poll place. So not only are these dead Democrats too late for the election and dead, they're also lost. Now, the guy who drove them there is a Republican. Take that as you will. That was Baxter, right? Ballot Baxter. Dude, bro. Dude.
Okay, we'll just pan away from you.
Dude, come on.
Thanks. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Magic.
A hearse pulled up.
Yeah, we saw it.
Dead voters got out.
No, people that you paid to be there and bought snacks for got out.
And
I do need a cough drop. Or a lozenge.
Decided to cast their ballot.
I slept about 2.5 hours last night, so pretty proud of myself for being as awake and aware as I am.
Ballots. If we can actually interview one of them, that would be ideal.
Yeah, it would be ideal if you could. Because these people are awesome. They're gonna. This is the get. There are interviews, and then there are interviews. Do you see? There's the hearse again. Good for okay. Then it's good, and then they get in, and then they go because they only rented the hearse for a half an hour. 12:15. So I got a half an hour. Yeah, I need to go eat something and drink something and not have my throat be dry. So this is so funny. But okay.
Five governors unconstitutional orders across against injustice.
These people are so fun. Oh, look. And you were worried we wouldn't get another shot of Mike Pillow.
And I tell you what, I got a call today from Australia.
We saw that part already.
You know who's happy about this right now or thinks they're in a good position?
Crocodile Dundee.
China.
Oh, I was this close.
You know, these guys over there, they told me the stuff that's going on over there, we don't hear about that over here because all we hear about here is this fake news on TV.
Well, 你不会说中文，你听不懂, right? You can't, you don't speak Chinese. You can't hear it and understand it. 你听不懂.
And they don't tell us about what's going on over there either.
I'll tell you what's going on over there. They had COVID 2 months before we did. They got rid of it by locking people up and basically jailing them. And if they died, they died. And if they got out, they just let them go after they'd been in a cell. And everybody's like, why can't we handle this like China? Gee.
Over there, the world wants Donald Trump to be our president for 4 more years.
The world does, but the world, not China.
Not just us here in the U.S. The whole world needs it.
Jesus. Can you imagine being this dumb? Can you imagine actually thinking the world needs more Donald Trump? And even thinking that Europe in general has any interest in having themselves pantsed in front of Putin by this idiot.
This is world collapse if we let this happen.
Yeah, it's total world collapse. Yeah, just like it was world collapse when Clinton got elected. And just like it was world collapse when Obama got elected.
We're not going to let it happen. I want everyone out there, the purpose of this whole tour is to bring people, to let them know it's...
That the promo code on MyPillow is still good through the holidays?
Real, it's going to happen. I have heard directly from Sidney Powell and...
Oh, well, then that's just all.
Linwood. I've heard the evidence, and believe me, the stuff they're getting now is just icing on the cake. Once you all see it, you're going to go, wow, it's worse than you ever could imagine.
I doubt it. First of all, My Pillow, or Mike Pillow, as you will be known forever. Listen, Mike Pillow, for the record, I have a great imagination. I'll have you know that. There's a lot I got a lot of stuff in the gourd. that, I can imagine some fairly horrible ways to apartments.com.
My home state of Minnesota, I made a promise to the president we would win my state.
And you lost by 200,000 votes. So that's what your word is good for, and goodbye.
So I look at numbers every day. I micromanage. I went to each county in my state and looked at the deviations. There's impossibilities there. We actually won Minnesota by 65,000 votes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sure. And you can use My Pillow as a spare tire if you need to. I mean, it tastes like chocolate. It's good for your colon. You can pets love humping it, and it was actually sewn only by veterans who were paid a living wage. Eventually.
Cheated so bad in Minnesota because we can vote 45 days early there, the earliest in the country. So when you can vote that far early, that gives you a lot of time to cheat.
Or a lot of time to review.
States,
we've heard this shit. You guys don't need this. I got to go to Stuttering John's thing. I'm going to let you guys go. You're wonderful. I've been hanging around. It's fun. I'll be on Stuttering John's podcast, and then I'm going to be back on later for the rally. It'll probably... Jesus, when is this stupid thing? Christ almighty. Because, let's see, Trump, God, I can't believe I'm still typing Trump rally in search engines. Today, there we go. There's the March Live MAGA, okay, oh, they're doing it. They're doing the whole thing. Let's see, live victory. The rally goes on for a while. I don't know when he's speaking. Yeah, I don't know. Live rally in Valdosta, Georgia, Canada. Like nobody, like Wallace. It'll be interesting to see the message Trump delivers at the Georgia rally. Will it? I'll find it. I'm gonna guess he's probably gonna go on at 2:00 my time, something. So I'll roll straight off of 7 to 8:15 Eastern. Thank you. So yeah. So yeah, around 3 or 4 I'll come back on depending on when it's happening. And to everybody, thanks for the new patrons today. Welcome, guys. That's really awesome. We're still trying to reach our 500 number. It seems to be the impossible number. It's just crazy, but we're going to keep hammering at it, and I'm going to keep doing shows and creating content and just see how it works out. And if people like it, they will. And if they don't, they don't. And that's life. And that's how we learn. I think I figured out how he has 2,000 employees, child labor laws. Just kidding. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, he's trying to sell if he can sell his pillar, if he can sell his pillar, I already went into the voice before I was even changed into the voice. Anyway, if he can sell one of his pillows to every Trump supporter, it's obvious why he would go all in. Right? Which is why I would like you guys to share the show with any of your like-minded friends and help them join us and enjoy the show as well. Because, yes. But that's exactly the plan. Wear a cross, suck up to Trump, and this entire group of people will buy your pillow even if it sucks. John, I didn't see the super chat, but I will check. John Mahoney is really awesome. There it is. Thank you. Holy sheepdog Batman, look at that hair today. Oh, thank you. Yes. It's pretty, it's flared. All right, I'm going to sign off so I can go do that. I got to get a drink of water, and I've drank all my water and have a lozenge. I need to eat something, too, because it's my normal, full intermittent fasting day, so I have an 8-hour window so I can eat more food. So, anyways, I will see you guys later on. I'll see you. I'll be right back, honestly, in a couple of hours, and you'll go, Jesus, can I ever get rid of this geezer? All right, love you guys. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. See you soon.